Nuanez Now. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
I like football!
Now here's your host, Coulter Nuanez.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Coulter Nuanez coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal studio here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. Grizzly Disposal has construction roll-off boxes for your construction project. Don't wait days or weeks. They get them to you within 24 hours. All you have to do is visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, locally owned, veteran-owned, and the only Bears that should be in your garbage. Jam-packed show today. Love these kind of shows where we go all the way around the wide world of sports. Also love it when we get the guys behind the glass to get into what they really love talking about. That right now, that's Stanley Cup playoffs, that's hockey, and it's been awesome so far. And these guys are both Jeff and Hayden are aces at talking about Stanley Cup. So excited for that. That's coming up here probably about 15 minutes. Also, we're going to talk some Grizz Rodeo. The Grizz Spring Rodeo begins tomorrow, 7 p.m. at the Missoula Fairgrounds. It'll be two different performances tomorrow and Saturday night. This is the final stop of the spring season for collegiate rodeo. This is the last chance for athletes to qualify for the College National Finals rodeo. So Corey Mitty, the head coach of the Grizz Rodeo team, he's been the head coach for a long time. I think this is year 14 for Corey. He will join us to talk about his rodeo team and what the rodeo means to the University of Montana. That's all here just in hour number one. Hour number two, whole bunch of football. We're talking all things NFL, play a little game of smart or dumb with Brooks Nuanez. And, we're talking a little bit about the NFL draft storyline. Smarter or Dumb is tomorrow. We did two different NFL segments this week. I couldn't remember which one I placed where. But Brooks on the NFL and the NFL draft coming up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And then we'll also hear from a Saco, Montana native who is a prep football player in Malta and then a prep basketball and track athlete in Saco. He's also a future Montana State Bobcat. Leighton Erickson, our latest in our recruiting series. We heard earlier this week from Sam Sermon, a future Grizz, efforting several of the other future Grizz. Have another of the future Bobcats in the can already. So we'll play that one for you next week. Dax Yeager from Shoto, caught up with him earlier this week too. So we're just trying to round these guys up, and then basically I'm just going to play a Grizz one, a Cat one, a Grizz one, a Cat one until we get all these in the can and on the air. Obviously, there's going to be more Grizz than Cats because there's more commits from in-state, from the state of Montana to the University of Montana than there is to Montana State at this exact moment. But we like catching up with all the in-state products and getting their perspective on why they chose where they're going and why they chose to pledge so early with signing day quite a ways down the road for the Big Sky for FCS football. So there you go. So what's coming up here on Nuanez Now. You want to stream it? You always can. 1029ESPN.com. You can also always find us live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. And you can always stream us audio-wise on the 1029ESPN.com website or on the ESPN MT app. And no matter how you're joining us, we appreciate you for tuning in. We'll have a Treasure State's best when it comes to the best track and field marks from around the state of Montana tomorrow. That's high school track and field. But I thought this was worth noting. The Russ Pilcher Top 10 meet is an awesome meet where they invite athletes that basically are in the top 10 in their respective events in track and field to an invitational only. So it's like a conglomeration of some of the best athletes from the state of Montana. A lot of times it's the western half of the state because there's a top 10 meet in Billings as well. So just for travel reasons. But either way, you're going to get some of the best performers at the Russ Pilcher Top 10 meet. And that always then seems to bring out some of the best performances. So we'll talk about the best performances, period, in the state in track and field tomorrow. But I thought this was worth noting. The Russ Pilcher Top 10 meet was Tuesday. It's the 26th annual of these. Coach Pilcher was a longtime track coach at Missoula Big Sky. He was the weight training coach there forever. He was the teacher I had the most in high school because you're allowed to take weight training every semester if you want to, and I did. So I had him 8 semesters in high school. Loved him. Great coach, great strength training coach, and he had a huge hand in a lot of our success for sure at Big Sky. So it's an homage to a great guy and a great coach, great teacher. But this was also an outstanding meet on Tuesday here in Missoula. 7 meet records fell. Frenchtown's Henry Griffin, he was the star of the day. He set new meet records in both the shot put and the discus. He threw the shot put 59 feet, 9.5 inches. Beast. Broke the old record of 58.4, so he shattered that thing. You're talking like 18 inches over the previous record. That is massive when it comes to shot put. And then Griffin turned around and broke a 15-year-old record in the discus. He had a throw of 186 feet 2 inches, which snapped the previous mark of 181.7 that's held since 2011. That one was held by Brandon Forson of Deer Lodge. The girls' discus record in the top 10 meet had stood since the first one of these, 1999, and Lily Boyd of Sealy Swan broke it. She broke a record. She broke it by almost 3 feet, 149.4 her disc throw, and again broke a record that had stood since 1999. Helena's Quinlan Simmons set a new mark in the girls' 100-meter dash at 12.31 seconds. She breaks the record of Brooke Zatuni of Whitefish. Zatuni currently runs for the University of Montana, so she's a high-level athlete. Big Fork's Robert Merchant set a new 200-meter record, 21.71 seconds. That snapped Dalton Dom's record of 21.85. Dalton Dom, of course, was a great all-around athlete from Butte who then went on to play football at Montana State. Polson's Morgan Delaney, she broke an 8-year-old record in the 3,200 meters by running 10 minutes, 36 seconds, and 10:36.20, That broke the previous record held by Annie Hill of Kalispell Glacier since 2018. In the girls' high jump, a record that had stood for 12 years was broken by Ellie Reed. We highlighted Ellie Reed on Tuesday. She was a Missoula Hellgate senior. She was part of our Treasure State Stars. Well, she's getting highlighted again. 5'7.25" in the high jump. That broke the previous record held by Jane Booth of Corvallis. She went on to jump for the Grizzlies. It was 5'6" was the previous record, and that had stood for 13 years. Superior's Lana Richards went 6'8" in the high jump. And he almost got the meet record of 6'9.25", but just missed it. And that was your glut of records. We'll get into some of the other great performances from this meet and from around the state tomorrow, but I figured we'd lead with a little track and field because we haven't talked a lot of high school track and field thus far. By the way, Henry Griffin, the Frenchtown athlete, he's had a lot of success. He was on the state championship football team. He was on the basketball team that had a great run at state, and he's headed to Montana State for the throws. But he's had a great high school career so far, and those marks are impressive, especially 59 and change in the shot. That's really, 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 really good for a high school senior. Well, it's now 109 ESPN Radio. So I made the show outline. My wife is on a girls' trip, so I'm rocking the solo dad, which is awesome. Been having a great time with my son so far. But I do have to leave like at 5:30 instead of 6 to go get him from daycare. Have no fear, I'll still be on the show. We have the whole second hour for you already prepared. But I was working ahead a little bit. Had the outlines for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday done yesterday, so that was good. Good job by me. But I decided I wanted to lead today's show with some thoughts on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, because I was certain that the Lakers were going to win last night against Houston in LA and close out the Rockets and move into the second round. Well, the Lakers played like garbage last night, so my whole point and my whole monologue about LeBron and the Lakers maybe falls flat today, but still I'm just going to do it because I don't think it's about one game. It's about the total body of work. And I know that LeBron James is a polarizing figure. It's frustrating to me that he is. I think that's a referendum and reflection of society as much as it is an analysis of him. If you are somebody that watches the NBA and you don't like LeBron James because of the political stances that he's taken over the years, that's fine. That's your prerogative. If you don't like LeBron James because of you think he's a flopper, you think he's weak-minded, throwing a fit, being dramatic, acting like a soccer player, that's fine. If you think that, you're not wrong. I mean, you can see he's one of the most exposed people in the world. So I mean, you can find, whether you watch the games or you just watch the highlights or whatever, you can find literally thousands of examples of him flopping or crying to the refs or whatever. If that's not for you, that's fine. If you don't like the way LeBron James has navigated his career by going from Cleveland to Miami and the decision and that whole thing with Jim Gray and the whole way that he went down with him announcing that, and then the way that they, it's only that scenario could you say that the Miami Heat fell on their face and was a bust when they won 2 championships and won the Eastern Conference 4 times in a row. Like only because they had so much hype and brash bravado going into that could you say that was a failure. But I think a lot of people think it was. The fact that they had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and they only won 2 titles, I think a lot of people think that whole era underachieved. I would argue that, you got one of the most transcendent performances in the history of the finals when Dirk Nowitzki led the Mavs past the Heat. So, I just think that's tip of the cap. That's one of the all-time greatest players in the history of the league, out-dueling LeBron and D. Wade. I mean, give Dirk his flowers all day long. The other time they lost in the finals, they lost to the San Antonio Spurs, who, by the way, that group of guys with Greg Popovich at the helm and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker leading the way, that team won 5 championships. It's no slouch. They're one of the greatest teams in the history of the league. So, I digress. If you want to kill LeBron James because you don't like the team hopping, you don't like the fact that he dogged Cleveland once, then he went back to Cleveland, brought Cleveland a championship, but then he dogged him again, he went to L.A., that's fine. If you also want to hate on LeBron because he's not Michael Jordan, that's also fine. It's all your prerogative. The point I'm making here is that at some point I hope the opinions of LeBron James come full circle. Because, again, you can point out all this stuff that there is to dislike about him. And if you don't like that stuff, that is good for you. He is objectively doing something currently that is beyond belief. He's 41 years old, and he's still one of the best players in the NBA. I expect the Lakers to close out that series. Is LeBron a top 5 player right now? No. He's still a top 20 player, though. I'd reckon he's still a top 15 player. He's 41 years old. He got drafted when I was 16. I'm about to turn 39. Think about what you started to feel like when you were in your mid to late 30s, just as a person that exists in the world. Let alone then add in being 6'8", 265 pounds, and running up and down a hardwood court for a living. It is actually unbelievable to think of the level that he is still playing at. If he was still in the NBA at all at the age that he is, that would be impressive. The fact that he is still, with Luka Doncic out, the best player on a team that's about to be in the Final 8 of the NBA playoffs, it's wild. I think that, first of all, as a society, we're completely addicted to nostalgia. We're completely addicted to having reverence for the past. We all do this. Back in my day, it's sort of human nature, but it's also sort of the way that pop culture has wired us in America. And I think that there's a lot of longing for Michael Jordan, and there's a lot of reasons why Michael Jordan was the phenomenon that he was. First and foremost, the winning. 6 titles in 6 finals appearances. That's the one thing that nobody could ever take away from him. But then you also have the fact that he was such a cultural phenomenon with the shoes and the marketing and all that sort of stuff, the smile, how handsome he is, how charismatic he is, the fact that he had a national championship winning college career for one of the greatest coaches of all time, Dean Smith, at one of the most prestigious college basketball programs of all time in North Carolina, the fact that he got to play for Bob Knight in the Olympics, when the Olympics was in America, all these confluence of events made the absolute comet that was the meteor that was Michael Jordan. And again, he's amazing. in terms of the longevity and the peak performance that someone can actually compete at athletically, it's not even close. LeBron James is ahead of everybody. I'm not saying he has the greatest basketball legacy of all time, but this is the most impressive thing we've seen a professional athlete do. To be able to play at the level he's playing at as a 41-year-old, it's unbelievable. And I hope people can sit and actually learn how to appreciate it. Again, you can hate the fact that he's taken political stands in certain avenues of his life. You can hate the fact that he's been on a bunch of teams. You can hate the fact that he, quote-unquote, only has 4 championships. You can hate the fact that he, quote-unquote, only has 4 MVP trophies. You can hate the fact that nepotism is part of the Lakers' persona, with the fact that his underqualified son plays for Los Angeles. You can hate the fact that he had a receding hairline and he refused to go bald until recently. You can hate all of it. You can hate that he's not Michael Jordan. You can hate all this. You still have to just truly lean in and appreciate the level he is still playing at the age that he is at. It's wild. The Lakers will look out to close that series out tomorrow in Houston. If Houston can win, they'll force a pivotal Game 7 in L.A., that game tomorrow is at 7:30. The NBA slate tonight includes the Knicks versus the Hawks. New York's trying to close the series out, but the game is in Atlanta. The Celtics blew it again last night. They could have closed the series out with the 76ers, but now they got to go back to Philly after Philadelphia went to Boston and beat them last night. So can Boston advance, or is Philadelphia going to force a Game 7? And then the Nuggets-Timberwolves series is completely upside down on its head because Anthony Edwards is doubtful. They've had Dante DiVincenzo tore his Achilles, so he's out for Minnesota. All of a sudden, it looks like Denver's in full control, even though Minnesota jolted out to a 3-1 lead. The Nuggets are 6.5-point favorites in Minnesota tonight, so that's an interesting line, certainly. And then tomorrow's games include that Lakers Rockets game, but it also includes Piston Magic after Detroit took it to Orlando last night to make that series 3-2 in favor of the Magic, who was the 8 seed. Cleveland still. They got it done last night, but they have to figure out a way to close that thing out because they're just way better than the Raptors. They can't let them hang around. And then the Lakers trying to close it out against Houston. NBA talk, probably presented by Sportsbet Montana. Sportsbet Montana has kiosks across the state of Montana. There's more than 550 of them. If you want to find one, just go on the Sportsbet Montana website and click on Where to Bet. Also get the Sportsbet Montana app in your life as well. Well, it's download tonight ESPN Radio. We'll take a break, come back. We'll give you some free beer, and we'll talk some hockey. Sounds pretty good to me. We also got rodeo coming up, we got NFL coming up, and we got in-state recruiting coming up. Jam-packed Nuanez Now rolls on right after this. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the uniquely designed and well-equipped 2024 Buick Encore GX with models starting at $28,895. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to demorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Encores and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
It's easy to see why Montana is the treasure state. At the University of Montana, we look inside. We see an old truth with fresh eyes, that Montana's greatest treasure is its people. So whatever tomorrow brings, we meet it the only way we know how, with a mind for making. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Their Eastern Washington's women's basketball team is now up to 4 Montanans on the roster. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. EWU's women's basketball coach Jody Gleason has put a high priority on recruiting women's basketball players from the Treasure State, and that continued earlier this week. Elise Abey, a Laurel graduate, will transfer to Eastern Washington, giving the Eagles 4 Montanans on their roster. Abey has spent the last 3 seasons at Idaho State. She started 28 games last year for the Bengals, averaging 7 points per game. Abey joins an EWU roster that also includes All Big Sky Jr. Courtney Grossman, who hails from Billings, and Missoula Sentinel product Emily McElmurray, who was a key reserve for the Eagles last season. EWU also added Jada Davis, one of the highest scoring players in Montana high school hoops history, while leading Bozeman Gallatin to its first ever 2 state championships. Davis will be a freshman next fall at EWU. The Montana State women's basketball team currently has 5 Montanans on its roster, with the addition of Braden Gunlock, a Big Fork native who's joining MSU after spending last season at BYU. The Bobcat roster also features reigning Big Sky MVP Taylor Churuk, who grew up in Billings, and Prepton Roberts, along with Seiko product Tegan Erickson and Billings Scaview alum Brooke Berry. The Lady Grizz are adding 4 Montanans to its roster ahead of last season, including Gonzaga transfer Paige Loafing of Billings, Wake Forest transfer Kennedy Moore of Kalispell, along with Missoula Big Sky senior Avery DeCoit and Billings Central senior Cam Ranker.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club.
1, 2, 3.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Fun fact about one of your favorites, Carolyn, the chicken doesn't know sports. She will swing by tomorrow, by the way, for some fun laughs. But she hates concerts, but says the only concert she wants to go to is Billy Joel. I just think that's so funny. Billy Joel's cool, but like that's the one? That's the one you want to go to? Good stuff. Love me some Piano Man. Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. We told you about all the former Cats and Grizz. Well, not all, but the 2 former Bobcats and the 5 former Grizz that are getting NFL opportunities. Most of these guys go into rookie mini camps. That includes Julius Davis from MSU, Hunter Peck from Montana, Riley Wilson from Montana, who made a foray in Arizona, and Kenzel Lawler from Montana. You also had undrafted free agent signees by Michael Wortham, who we heard from on the show yesterday from the Grizz, as well as Liam Brown. Wortham's going to Jacksonville. Liam Brown's going to Cincinnati. And then Rohan Jones, who played for the Cats and then went to Arkansas. He is going to the Los Angeles Rams. There's also, though, a young man from Carroll College that's getting an opportunity. Andrew Devine. He's a 6'8", 320-pounder from Carroll College. He got a rookie minicamp invite from the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's a cool deal for a kid out of the Frontier Conference and NAIA school. Devine had a great pro day. He participated in Montana State's pro day and had 26 reps on the bench. Ran 5.21 seconds in the 40. Again, he's 320 pounds. That's pretty dang fast for a guy that size. So he's getting an opportunity to at least get his foot in the door at the next level. The Stanley Cup playoffs alive and well, in full force. Before that, though, I forgot. We got to give you some beer. How could I forget? This is one of your favorite things. Thirsty Thursdays, probably presented by DraftWorks. DraftWorks Brewing in Missoula. Locally owned, founded in Missoula. One of the best breweries you'll find in the state of Montana. DraftWorks is also family friendly, so you can take your kiddos down there while you have a brew. We'll give you a $25 gift card to DraftWorks. All you got to do is text us, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us and let us know you want to be a part of Thirsty Thursdays here on Nuanez Now. All right, let's talk some Stanley Cup.
Another week, more Stanley Cup playoff hockey coverage here on ESPN Missoula. Hayden Smith and Jeff Safford are here, the duo for some Stanley Cup hockey. We're going to have to try to rein it in just a bit. Shout out to Hayden Smith doing a lot of editing on the back end. We've got like these allowed amount of times for these playoff segments. Hayden, I think we went a little bit overboard last week.
And by little, you mean double, Jeff.
Yeah. Whoops. I think we went a little bit over, but we're going to keep an eye on the clock this time. Get you covered with everything Stanley Cup hockey. We've got a couple of series in the books, a couple maybe ending tonight, recording this on this Thursday, a couple of game sixes on the docket this evening. The Minnesota Wild, a chance to take out the Dallas Stars. Also, the Anaheim Ducks have a chance for a big upset opposite the Edmonton Oilers. A couple of game sixes with the home teams with a 3-2 series lead. We'll go over those. And also the results we saw last night. A series in the books. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they gave things a heck of a run from a 3-0 deficit to 3-2, but falling in overtime, the Flyers get it done. They will take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Also a wild game last night with the Mammoth and the Vegas Golden Knights. Double overtime. If you see my cup of coffee, maybe that's why. Thinking about that one ending past midnight. But fun stuff to get to, Hayden. Awesome playoffs to this point. We have seen 13 overtime games in the first round.
Oh, it's been horrible for our sleep schedule, like you said, but so exciting that the first overtime in that game was actually for Utah in Vegas, the first period that no one had scored a goal the entire series. Yeah, great hockey so far.
Speaking of endings, we'll get to the Pittsburgh Penguins a little bit later, but a little bit further back down the road, it's time to hit the links for both the Ottawa Senators and the LA Kings. Both were swept out of their playoff series, with your Colorado Avalanche taking care of the Kings, and also the Carolina Hurricanes saying bye-bye to the Senators. We did see a little bit of throwing punches from Brady Tkachuk, as we kind of thought we would. But other than that, really not much fight from Ottawa. And really, the Avalanche did what really both teams that we expected to do in those first-round series.
Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously, they are the two favorites for the Stanley Cup Finals and to win it. So, I mean, you don't necessarily expect a sweep, per se. I mean, all these teams are so incredibly good. Obviously, we saw some close games on both sides, in particular those LA Kings' first couple games against Colorado, those 2-1 finishes. They did what they needed to do. Good teams do that. They both have a ton of experience. Brady Tkachuk probably, he could have contributed elsewhere. He had 0 goals in the entire playoffs, so that I think that's a bit of an issue. Definitely some concerns there. I see a lot of potential trade rumors in that regard. We're not going to dig into that at this point in the year, but definitely some issues there on the Ottawa side. And after 2 first-round beatdowns, one from Toronto last year and now from Canes, I think there's definitely some question marks there to answer.
Still are waiting to see who the Avalanche will take on. We'll get to the Dallas Stars and the Wild a little bit later. Game 6 coming tonight. It could be Minnesota moving on to face-off with the Avalanche, or it could see a Game 7 to clinch a winner of that series. We do know it will be the Carolina Hurricanes and the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll get some early thoughts on that. But first, a little bit as us, a affiliate of the Seattle Kraken. Some news from the Kraken today. Jessica Campbell, who was a coach on the bench in Seattle, actually was the first female coach hired in the NHL, was hired out of the AHL ranks down in Coachella Valley in SoCal in 2024. It has been announced that she will not return next season to the bench for the Kraken, and with that team struggling so much offensively, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's nothing against her as a coach. I mean, I think she gave it her go. I think she'll see another opportunity here in the next couple years. But when you have one of the worst offenses for multiple years and things don't seem to progress in a positive way, you got to make some changes, and that's the way that it goes in pretty much every professional league. So I mean, that's the way it happens. And yeah, I mean, they just got to find a way to put some pucks in the net. I thought Grubauer had a bit of a resurgent year. I would imagine that they're going to stick with him for at least another season. But yeah, I mean, they got to find some depth, and they got to find some big dogs that can put pucks in the net when they need him, because these last couple seasons, since really they beat Colorado in that first round, they have not had any success in that regard. So it's just the way she goes.
It does sound like the Seattle Kraken are going to be supporting Jessica Campbell as she searches for new opportunities, it says in a press release as well. But moving on from the Seattle Kraken after the end of this season, talking Stanley Cup hockey here on ESPN Radio, Hayden Smith and Jeff Safford. Let's take a peek back at what we saw last night. We'll start out in Tampa Bay in a big Game 5 between the Canadiens and the Lightning. Montreal goes into Tampa and gets themselves a huge win to take a 3-2 series lead, also winning by that score of 3-2. And really, it was the Habs taking control from the start of the game, and I felt just standing up to whatever pressure that Tampa put on them.
Yo, without a doubt, man. I mean, they score right away with Brendan Gallagher just kind of cleaning up something in front of the net there to put them up 1-0. And I just feel like they were kind of going blow for blow from there. And every time that Tampa got a puck in the net, I feel like the Canadiens just continued to respond. And for a really young team, in fact, the youngest team in the entire league. I mean, you got guys like Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov on that top power play. Neither of them are 23 years old yet. It's a gritty win for them. And it's interesting that the way that the Lightning are playing. I think Nikita Kucherov really needs to step up. I don't think that he's played at his best. I mean, I know he got his first goal in 18 playoff games earlier in this series, which first of all is shocking for one of the best players on the earth to not score in 18 straight games. And he hasn't looked the way he needs to for them to really get going here. And I still anticipate him having a bit of a resurgence there in Game 6, but they got a big road to climb now, man. I mean, that Canadiens team is young and they're hungry and they got guys going. Cole Caulfield still really hasn't done too much in that series. I mean, Nick Suzuki's an absolute monster, one of the best two-way guys in the league, and the Canadiens are they're fighting for it, but the Lightning have been there and done it, and I would anticipate them having a huge push in Game 6 to try to force the Game 7.
To your point, a lot of the things that they did well in that Game 5 on the road were just so impressive from Montreal. I felt their just ability, as you alluded to combat what the Lightning were doing. That, to me, was highlighted in the first couple of goals of the game. Dominic James scores to tie it. Boom. 11 seconds later, here come the Habs. Then you think Jake Getzel maybe getting some vibes going in that home barn in Tampa Bay with a big goal at the end of the second. What happens in the first few minutes of the third? Boom. Here come the Habs again to take the lead. And how about this, Hayden? Through a stretch of the third period, they held Tampa Bay without a shot for 10 minutes in that third period. That's just awesome defense and just great execution.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. It's just great defense. And for a team that has, Jake Gensel and Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, among other studs that can really get things going when they're playing well, it's pretty impressive that such a young team has been able to keep those guys off the board for so long, and we're going to see if they can continue to do it. But either way, what a great first series for the Canadiens, and I think even if they end up losing the series, which I do not think they will, I think there's a lot of things to look at and be pretty happy about going into next season.
But the challenge awaits. Rogers Center, poutine, smoked meat, and a loud crowd there in Montreal. That place is going to be a pressure cooker. How does Tampa get out of there with a win in Game 6?
That's a great question. I don't know, man. I mean, the Lightning are a team that can win in a lot of ways, and that's what you see from the best teams. I mean, we saw it with Colorado and the Canes, right? They didn't win all these games by a lot or by a little. They just find a way to get it done regardless of how it all plays out, and that's a team that's capable of doing it. So I don't know if there's any way they specifically need to win, but I think the big dogs really need to get going for me. We saw Draisaitl get going for Edmonton, and that kind of pushed them over the edge against Anaheim in the last game. And, you can't let these young guys outperform you when you're a team that's won multiple Stanley Cups, and that's going to be the way they do it, man. The big dogs need to step up.
Proof's been in the pudding with this Lightning team and group in the past, having won multiple Stanley Cups. Can they keep it rolling here in 2026? We'll find out in Game 6 on Friday night. That's coming up on Friday there in Montreal. Moving on to our next first-round series out east that actually came to an end. Thinking about the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. What a fitting end to this series in a rivalry setup in the first round. I mean, this thing was a pressure cooker from the first shift. 74 combined shots in the game, 0 goals through 3 periods until we finally got a winner from the Philadelphia Flyers in overtime. It was the first playoff game to be held scoreless to an overtime since 2021, and it was in this huge Game 6.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were just sell it out. I mean, they weren't really giving up a lot of offensive opportunities. Obviously, the goal that we saw eventually go was a defenseman in Cam York who scored his first goal in 37 games.
He only had 4 all year.
Yes, I mean, that's what I was talking about last week, man. You got to have heroes that, step up every single night, different guys that just make a play when you need it. And right now, the Flyers are doing it. Another guy that I would like to mention is Porter Martone, 19 years old, had multiple game winners in this series, just playing fantastic right now. The Flyers are just a young, gritty team that's playing well and playing for each other right now, and it's going to be a really interesting series to see how they do against the Canes.
And that's one of the cool stories about this Philadelphia team in general, right? They have a few of these players that are seeing some of their first experience in the NHL. By the way, they're doing it in the Stanley Cup playoffs and are playing extremely well.
Extremely well. Another guy is Trevor Zegras, who had kind of a weird fallout with Anaheim. I just think that there was a little bit of unrest there on both sides, and man, is he making the most of his new opportunity with the Flyers as well, getting to the playoffs. I believe this is his first playoff experience as well, so he's just fitting right in, doing what he needs to do, kind of a skilled, flashy guy that can put a puck in the net when they need it, and he's been doing that so far this series. So happy for the Flyers. The Penguins have really been that dominant force for many, many years. It's going to be interesting to see what that looks like next season with a lot of those guys getting older. And yeah, I mean, I could see some change-ups there. Now, is Sidney Crosby going to get traded and all of this kind of, is the sky going to fall for Pittsburgh? I don't necessarily think that's the case. I still see Crosby retiring as a Penguin, but definitely raises some questions in terms of, is it finally time to rebuild? Do they really have the guys that they need to really go for a run? And, if some of these guys, if Malkin and Letang and Carlson and Crosby are still viable options on other teams, which they certainly are, it'll be interesting to see if they deal some of those guys.
Hayden Smith and Jeff Safford talking everything hockey in the Stanley Cup here on ESPN Radio. And the one thing that's interesting about Pittsburgh is they do have a good amount of draft picks coming up this season, thinking about having 4 in the first 3 rounds this year. So with that being a thought, this could be the year for Pittsburgh to pull the trigger on a big trade to try to get a bunch of assets here to be able to turn things around in seemingly a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it in the past, right? I mean, everyone says Crosby's untradeable, but Wayne Gretzky got traded, and he's the greatest player of all time. Superstars get traded. Mikko Rantanen got traded last year. So, I mean, it wouldn't be, outrageous to think that he might get dealt while he's still worth something. Maybe that's, an agreement that he makes with the Pens, like, hey, you need to let me go. I love this franchise, and I think what's best for this franchise right now is for you to get assets for me while I'm still playing well, and maybe you can turn something around in the next couple years. I don't know if they're willing to do that. Obviously, Crosby he's the man in Pittsburgh. So would it be better for the Penguins at this point? You could definitely make the argument it is.
So we'll have to see what happens in Pittsburgh. Their season over. Philadelphia moving on to take on the Carolina Hurricanes. That really should be a fun series. I mean, we've been alluding to a lot of the youth on this Philadelphia roster. They haven't moved into the second round of the playoffs since 2012, taking on this Hurricane team that seemingly is always a part of the playoffs. So for those reasons, it should be a fun story for this series in general.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. I mean, those are two really, tight-checking physical teams that are going to bang and mash their way into hopefully the next round. And the Flyers maybe aren't quite as physical as the Canes are. I mean, when you got a coach like Rod Brindamore, that's, just an absolute animal. I mean, the guy's more ripped than half his players on the roster right now, still to this day. That guy brings the most out of his team. He's going to bring some juice. And I think the Canes just seeing, the Panthers aren't in there, right? The Lightning are struggling a little bit. Freddie Anderson's playing great. I think he has the best stats of any goalie right now in the playoffs right now. They're looking good right now. And I think they definitely see the opportunity in front of them, and I do believe they're going to roll with it.
So we'll see what happens in game of that series coming up over the weekend between the Flyers and the Hurricanes. Speaking of a proverbial hurricane, at least if you like offense, you've liked what you've seen out west in the battle between the Mammoth and the Vegas Golden Knights. The last two games we have seen have ended in 5-4 final scores in favor of Vegas in overtime. So if you like goals, you like late nights, and I guess you need some caffeine for this series, it's been wild to watch. And Vegas, 2 times in a row, just able to take these games out in overtime. And a couple of times in this series as well, they seemingly have taken losses and turned them into wins late in these wild empty net scenarios in the third period.
Yeah, this is when veteran leadership and playoff experience, I think, makes a huge difference, because ultimately Utah blew that game last night, and Vegas was in a similar situation. I believe they blew a 3-goal lead, and, those guys put their heads down, Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and they find a way to win those games. And that's just what Utah's not doing right now. Utah has to find the guy to make the play when they need it, and Vegas is doing that. I mean, Howden had a shorty goal in double overtime to win that game for Vegas, right? I mean, those are big players making big plays right now, and we're just not seeing that from Utah when they need it the most. And I think that's just where that playoff experience and the comfort in those situations really is what puts those guys over the top over Utah right now.
Speaking of that play with Brett Howden, again, a shorthanded goal, taking a puck away in the defensive zone. When you're down a man like that, how big of a risk is it to go after the puck as aggressively as he did?
I mean, potentially super aggressively, but I think that you just have to read the situation. And I don't know who it was on Utah, but the guy was kind of soft on the puck there in the boards, and he wasn't really playing with the intensity that he needed to. And I think Vegas saw that and just kind of capitalized on that moment. And back of the net, man, that's how quickly it happens in the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, you can't take shifts off. And I think obviously it's double overtime. Guys are tired, right? But you gotta sell out. You gotta put everything out there. And I just think there was just a little lapse on the Utah side with that defenseman. He should have just got that puck out of the zone, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. So that's just the way it goes, man. You can't take shifts off right now in the playoffs. And teams like Vegas that have been there and done that, they're gonna take advantage of those moments.
If I were the Mammoth, I would look at it this way. You've done a lot of good things in this series and just have had these end sequences just kind of go against you. You've stood up to what you've seen from the Vegas Golden Knights, hitting them plenty. Combined, there have been 86 hits in the game last night. A lot of hits on both sides. But if you're the Mammoth, you just have to focus on what you've been doing right and clean up some of those other things in Game 6. Maybe lean on your home ice as well. I think we're going to Game 7.
I hope so. I mean, it's been a great series so far. Obviously, a very high-scoring series. I think Utah definitely is a team that's worthy of forcing that game against Vegas. They just got to find a way to win games, and the more times that they're in those situations, they're going to continue to learn from those, because you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. And those overtime games maybe didn't go their way, but I still think they're pivotal experiences for those young guys on Utah, and they're going to continue to learn from them, and hopefully they find a way to be on the other side of one of them.
Well, Vegas gets a big Game 5 win. They have a 3-2 advantage of that series, but heading back to Salt Lake City on Saturday to see if there will be a Game 7 in that Western Conference playoff series. Keeping things out west and the theme alive of Game 6. Let's take a look at what we got coming up tonight. The first game of 2 on the evening, starting at 5:30, will feature the Minnesota Wild out there in St. Paul playing host to the Dallas Stars. Matt Boldy and the boys, they got a chance to close it out there just outside the capital city.
Like we expected, it's been a great series. You mentioned Matt Boldy. I mean, man, has he just been fantastic. I mean, the guy's noticeable every single shift. Brock Faber and Quinn Hughes, 2 of his teammates for the Olympic USA gold winning team. I think that experience has really propelled them right now in this playoff series, just having the confidence knowing that you can play the big dogs and you can get it done. It would be really cool to see the Wild win. I mean, they haven't won a playoff series since 2015.
Wow.
And also on top of that, if you're really looking back at it, Dallas stole this team from Minnesota. They were the North Stars in Minnesota to start. So
yeah,
I think
if you ask Grizz hockey coach Mike Anderson, who is a Minnesota guy, he hates the Dallas Stars for that reason.
Exactly, man. So I think there's a little bit extra juice there for the Wild, just knowing kind of the history there and what the fans want to see. Another thing, the Stars haven't scored a 5-on-5 goal in like 200 minutes of play. Now, they've been propped up with their power play. It's
9
been
for 20,
9
I think.
of 20,
yeah.
which is ridiculous. First of all, that we've seen two teams almost at 50%, with the Ducks on the other side being 10 for 20 at one point. The Wild are playing for a lot right now, and Dallas is a little bit beat up. I mean, Roope Hintz still hasn't returned. Miro Heiskanen's been kind of weird the way that he's been playing. I think he's a little bit beat up and just kind of struggling through it right now. But man, the Wild, they're hungry right now, and their big dogs are playing fantastically well. And I really think they're going to get away with this one. They're going to be at home in Minnesota for this game.
That's a wild barn. I've been there myself just about a month or so ago.
It's a wild barn, no pun intended, and I hope they can do this. I think, one, as an Avalanche fan, I think the Avalanche pair better against Minnesota. Obviously, the Dallas Stars ripped my heart out last year. Mikko Rantanen with a hat trick in the third period was devastating. Man, the Stars are playing hungry right now, and their top dogs are playing really well, and it's hard to compete with that when the Dallas Stars are not scoring 5-on-5 goals.
You've mentioned the top players on both sides, as you alluded to it, the top dogs, and they've been some of the top scorers in the Stanley Cup playoffs in general. Kirill Kaprizov and Jason Robinson, both respective sides. Robinson with the Stars and Kaprizov, of course, with the Wild. Both have 9 points, which is tied with Leon Draisaitl of the Oilers for the point lead in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is it on one of those two guys to win it for their team, or do you think someone else is going to sneak in there and be the big dog in this game?
I could see Wyatt Johnston being the guy, too. I mean, he's been fantastic in those big situations. I mean, it's hard to count out Mikko Rantanen just because he's such a fantastic player. I think it's going to be a third or fourth line guy that just finds a way to win this game. That's just the way it goes. I mean, first of all, the Dallas Stars haven't scored a 5-on-5 goal. They're going to need to, I feel like they're due, and they're going to find someone to get that done, and I do believe it's going to be a third or fourth line guy. If the Stars want to have a chance, they need someone to step up. Who knows who it's going to be? Jason Robertson's obviously fantastic. He could certainly be the guy. I mean, he's an absolute sniper. But, playoff series are won with depth, and sometimes the big dogs can't do it. I mean, we've seen Kucherov, McDavid, and McKinnon all kind of be struggling here in the first couple games. And, their teams are still finding ways to win at times, and that's not necessarily because of, the second line. It's because of the third and fourth line. So it's one of those series where it's going to be, I think, just a random guy that just has, a great game any given night, and that's going to be what turns the corner for one of these teams.
So we'll see if the Wild can get it done tonight in Game 6, or if we're headed for Game 7 in Dallas on Saturday. On that same topic out west, the Anaheim Ducks have a chance to finish off the Edmonton Oilers tonight at home in another Game 6, but the Oilers came rolling out of Game 5, starting in the first period, taking a 3-0 lead, and then just rolling from there to force this Game 6.
Yeah, I mean, they just... when you score 3 goals basically right away, that helps a lot. I think it was in particular really, really good for McDavid because it gave him the opportunity to maybe rest a little bit in that game versus, him having to play his full 25 minutes with that ankle injury. So I expect to see him a little bit healthier for Game 6. Leon Draisaitl, I mean, he finally stepped up. He scored 2 goals in that game. I mean, that's a guy that was hurt for maybe a month and a half, 2 months coming into the playoffs. So, you don't just get going right away. It does take a few games to kind of get into the flow of it all. So I think that's a good sign for them to see him get rolling a little bit more. And I thought Connor Ingram made the saves that he needed to, and he's going to certainly need to continue to do that. But, I mean, I think the Oilers get it done, man. I mean, we saw him do it against the Florida Panthers. I mean, this is a team that has absolutely no quit. Even with McDavid having an ankle injury, he's probably still a top 10 player in the entire league, which is insane to say, but it's just the truth. I mean, his ability is far beyond just, the way that he skates. I mean, he's such a thoughtful player. I mean, in that Gretzky sense, he's just so good at anticipating plays and getting the puck over to guys. I mean, he has, 80 assists every year for a reason, and they are not out of this by any stretch, and I think the Oilers get this one done in 4-7.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I believe that the Oilers will get through this Game 6 here tonight. I think if you're the Ducks, you want to try to get out and run like you have earlier in this series, maybe get Jackson McComb, the defenseman, still the leading defenseman in terms of points in the Stanley Cup playoffs, despite not recording a point in the Ducks' last game. Can they get out and turn it into a track meet? We'll see. An 8 o'clock start time in SoCal, Oilers and Ducks. Also, the Stars and the Wild in action tonight. Talking Stanley Cup hockey here on 102.9 ESPN Radio. We'll see if we finish off some more series tonight, or if we see some Game 7s on the horizon. We roll on this edition of Nuanez Now after this, 102.9 ESPN Radio and SWX Montana. Don't forget about that ESPN MT app and on our YouTube page.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John?
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
Association.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Well, rodeo season in full swing, and a big rodeo coming up in Missoula Friday and Saturday. It's the University of Montana Spring Rodeo. We're joined now by Corey Mitty. He is the head coach of Grizz Rodeo. Corey, thanks for being here, man. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. First of all, we got to talk about this awesome display of rodeo talent, because this is a great chance for people to see the Grizz in action, but also a great chance to see cowboys and cowgirls from all over the state, all over the region. So tell us just about this rodeo and what it means for your program and what it means just for Missoula to have one of the better college rodeos in town this next couple of days.
Well, what it means for Missoula is awesome. I mean, we couldn't have it on a better weekend. The weather's amazing. It's going to be 70-some degrees both days. The sun's shining today. It couldn't be better. So it's fantastic for you to come out and enjoy some amazing collegiate rodeo. This rodeo is the culmination of 10 rodeos. This is the 10th rodeo, so we call this a Big Sky Regional Finals.
Right.
And all the, decisions or qualifications are made for the College National Finals rodeo here, accumulating earning points throughout the season. This is the last rodeo you can earn the points, and this rodeo decides all the championships.
Well, so certainly there's going to be a lot on the line, a lot to be decided as well. So what do you think are some of the big draws for this weekend? What are some of the big events that maybe people are going to make sure they want to be in their seats to see?
All the events are fairly loaded. There's only 3 bareback riders in the region. A lot of them got injured throughout the season, but there's 3, and there's 10 saddle bronc riders and close to 10 bull riders. But all the events are pretty stacked. The barrel racing this year, let me shut the speaker off. Yeah, the barrel racing this year is extremely wicked. I mean, I've never seen it as fast in the 14 years I've been doing this, and as competitive as it is in that event. Same thing with the breakaway roping. The team roping is good. The steer wrestling is amazing. The tie-down roping is great. The goat tie is a crowd favorite because, it's fast times. Those girls are athletic.
The athleticism is awesome. Like if you're listening to this right now here on ESPN Radio and you haven't been to one of these, you got to go check it out because I agree. The goat tying, so much athleticism. The steer wrestling. I mean, there's some awesome athletes. So tell us about that part though. How has your program evolved just in terms of the recruiting of athletes and getting them to come to Montana to rodeo? And how would you sort of describe the dynamic of your team this year?
Our team we're good. We're not great, but we're doing good. We're improving constantly, and that's kind of something that I like to hang our hat on is just getting better, right? Improving and growing. And, even if you don't win in college, even after your college years, you're going to get tons of education here as far as fundamentals, things like that they'll take you throughout your career. But yeah, we got a lot of kids in every event I shouldn't say every event. We don't have a goat tire. We don't have a steer wrestler, but right now everything else we got covered. And so, yeah, it's amazing to watch our athletes grow, even kids who've been here for even 3 years or now, they may not come here extremely talented or gifted, and now they're winning, so it's fun.
Corey Biddy joining us. He is the head coach of the Grizz Rodeo team. The University of Montana Rodeo plays out tomorrow, and that's Friday and Saturday at the fairgrounds here in Missoula. So how about your team? Is there anybody that's really risen up just in terms of their performance or even their leadership or is sort of carrying the flag for Montana Rodeo right now?
Yeah, I have several. Like on the men's side, we have Cale Daychief, Chase Kellett, Rance Allen, Sterling Herzog, Travis Hunter. All those guys are, getting good, have chances, are doing well. And then on the women's side, like Nikki Davidson recently just won the Miles City College Rodeo last weekend, and Lexi Muir in the barrel race has a chance to make it to the college national finals mathematically. She has to do really well at this rodeo to give herself a chance to make it. And then, girls like Kaiten French placing in the team roping, Tamara Zog placing in both the team roping and the breakaway roping, Lacey Lawrence in the barrel race doing good. I can go on as far as Haley Glico has been placing right along, and it's been fun.
The barrel racing dynamic is an interesting one to me too, because you're right, you're spot on. The times are so fast across the region. Why do you think that is? I mean, is there anything you can point to that has made so many of these young ladies so fast?
Competition is the main thing. To win, you have to upgrade your horse and upgrade your riding and upgrade for speed. And so a lot of these other we used to kind of be dominant in barrel racing,
right?
And now we're still doing good, but some of these other girls in the other schools have gotten better horses, have found some things, and where we were winning some of these, now those girls have kind of not necessarily taken over, but it's tougher to beat them.
No doubt, and you see it across the region with especially a lot of the cowgirls from the state of Montana. What about the rest of the rough stock? What are you anticipating just in terms of some of the bulls and the broncs that will be in town this weekend?
There's some great races in those 3 events. There's some guys who are kind of dominant and winning them outright, but like the bull riding is a great race between 3 guys. Taj Wells from Montana State University, Gavin Knudsen from Western. There's one kid in there, I can't remember his name, but they all have amazing chances to, I think mathematically win it. But first, second, and third, those guys, I think, have it locked up. Saddle bronking, similar to the same. Bareback, there's one standout kid from Western who's just kicking everybody's butt. But it's competitive. They're all competitive, and the stock here is going to be great. They're all going to have chances. The fun thing about our rodeo is, we rodeo all spring long, but every rodeo we go to is an indoor building. We go to the Brick Breed Field House. We go to Havre, the Super Barn, and we go to Miles City. They built an indoor arena, and we've had 5 rodeos in there, and so they're in these rinky-dink little arenas. Now the finals, we get to come outside finally into the biggest, longest rodeo arena pretty much in the state at about 350 feet. So it's a complete different ball game coming here for the finals.
Certainly is. Grizzly Spring Rodeo this coming weekend, 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday night at the Missoula Fairgrounds. There'll be 9 other teams from around the Big Sky region. As Coach Mitty mentioned, this is the final stop for the Big Sky Regional Circuit, and this is basically the last chance to qualify for the College National Finals Rodeo. So if you need something to do this weekend, or you just want to go support these Cowboys and Cowgirls, definitely go do it. Coach, what are your hopes and aspirations for this weekend? I mean, how do you hope your team performs, and what sort of things are you going to be looking for that'll sort of gauge success this weekend?
Yeah, I think we legitimately have a chance in all the events but the bareback riding and the saddle bronc riding and the steer wrestling and the go tie. The rest of the events, we legitimately have a chance to win those events, and I expect them to do it. I mean, they're ready. We've been practicing for 2 straight months and been rodeoing for 5 other rodeos. Our juices are flowing, and we should have some success.
Well, good luck, and we appreciate you taking some time here this week, and thanks so much for being on with us, and have a good weekend this week. But thanks for being here, Coach.
Yeah, thank you, Coulter. Appreciate it.
Spartan.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both? Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Their Eastern Washington's women's basketball team is now up to 4 Montanans on the roster. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. EWU's women's basketball coach Jody Gleason has put a high priority on recruiting women's basketball players from the Treasure State, and that continued earlier this week. Elise Abey, a Laurel graduate, will transfer to Eastern Washington, giving the Eagles 4 Montanans on their roster. Abey has spent the last 3 seasons at Idaho State. She started 28 games last year for the Bengals, averaging 7 points per game. Abey joins an EWU roster that also includes All Big Sky Junior Courtney Grossman, who hails from Billings, Billings, and Missoula Sentinel product Emily McElmurray, who was a key reserve for the Eagles last season. EWU also added Jada Davis, one of the highest scoring players in Montana high school hoops history, while leading Bozeman Gallatin to its first ever 2 state championships. Davis will be a freshman next fall at EWU. The Montana State women's basketball team currently has 5 Montanans on its roster, with the addition of Braden Gumlock, a Big Fork native who's joining MSU after spending last season at BYU. The Bobcat roster also features reigning Big Sky MVP Taylor Churuk, who grew up in Billings, and Prepton Roberts, along with Seiko product Tegan Erickson and Billings Skyview alum Brooke Berry. The Lady Grizz are adding 4 Montanans to its roster ahead of last season, including Gonzaga transfer Paige Loafing of Billings, Wake Forest transfer Kennedy Moore of Kalispell, along with Missoula Big Sky senior Avery DeCoit and Billings Central senior Cam Ranker.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
All right, first of all, you got to tell us about this. Brooks Nuanez chiming in here on Nuanez Now. It's a new friend of ours. We've been giving these away a couple times here over the last 2 weeks. We're going to get fully into the swing of things with our weekly Diamond Time with Jeff Safford starting next week, where we talk everything from Major League Baseball to high school baseball and softball around Montana to American Legion Baseball to Pioneer League Baseball and Paddleheads Baseball. One of our fine sponsors will be DBAT, but I know you've been working with these guys a little bit. Brooks, tell us a little bit about them.
Super cool facility. I mean, it's so modern for especially Missoula, Montana. You know, the batting cages that
we used to love the batting cages.
It's those dimpled, hard yellow balls. This is not that. This is a real deal. Super modern, super clean. There's training. There's coaching. You can get private lessons. You can go in and just hit the cages. You can hit off the tee. Full entire pro shop full of all Rawlings, Easton gear. Really cool spot. DBAT over on Burlington. Check it out.
So if you're like 40, like me, you can just go get some cuts in with your buddies. But also if you're like an up-and-coming aspiring player or somebody that's an already established high school or college level player, you can go over there. It's a real academy, so they can actually teach you some stuff and work on your swing with you and all that sort of stuff. But also if you just want to have some fun, you can do that. So if you'd like to get entered in to win 75 free swings from DBAT, text us 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Text us. Let us know you want to try out DBAT, like Brooks said, located at 821 Burlington Avenue in Missoula. So our favorite phenomenon has happened again. We're going to talk a lot of NFL. We're going to talk a lot of maybe NFL draft and maybe some college football as well. But we got reclassifications of a variety of high schools in Montana. And you have been mystified by this subject many a time.
Blows my mind.
Brooks can't understand how there is sustainability in some of the smaller towns in Montana. And it does make sense because certainly technology has had a huge influence on agriculture. It's made it much easier to farm much larger pieces of land with much less people. Inherently, then, people are having smaller families. I mean, the generations of Montanans in the late 19th and probably all the way up to like the late 20th century were having, 3 to 7 kids. Now everybody's having 1.5 kids, right? So how is the population sustainable? Well, this makes a little bit more sense with the 6 schools that are getting reclassified, Brooks. A couple are moving. Well, Fairview is moving down from Class B to Class C. Not surprising. They've been in Class C for a long time. They've only been in Class B for a little while. Plentywood, same deal. So you have to think there was maybe just a bump in high school population there that was sort of just an anomaly or industry-based or something like that. But you do have 4 more that are moving up. Cascade moving up to Class B from Class C. Park City moving up from Class B to Class C, or from Class C to Class B. And then Jefferson High School, which is in right outside Montana City. It's like Montana City and Boulder, right outside of Helena. It's moving up to Class A, and Anaconda is moving up from Class B back to Class A.
Jefferson's going to Class A.
That one makes a little bit of sense just because of like the redrawing of the district lines. Because it always in Helena, you had Helena and Helena Capital. And all the kids from East Helena and like the Montana City, Jefferson, Townsend, East Helena, that was like some of them went to Helena High and then the rest of them went to either Boulder High School or Townsend High School. Sort of like Clinton going to Hellgate or like Lolo splitting between Big Sky and Sentinel. That part of the state is growing a little bit, not as rapidly as Bozeman or Missoula, but certainly it's growing, and it's a nice place to live. And I mean, Montana City is awesome, man. I love Montana City.
Montana City is very cool.
It's a super cool town.
What's the threshold? What's the number of students to go to Class A?
I think it's like 400, maybe 500, so it's not very big.
That's high school students.
No, right.
500 high school age kids. This is not a kids under 18. This is kids 14 or 15 years old to 18 years old. It's a pretty small little window there, and you have 400 of them in a town like Montana City. It doesn't make any sense to me. Where are they? Like, where are all these families?
Yeah.
How many people live in Montana City?
Man, good question.
I think that's worth really diving into.
Montana City has a population of about 3,000. That was per the last census, though. I bet that was in 2020. I bet you it's a lot bigger than that. Probably more like 4,000 to 5,000 now.
And 500 of them are high school age kids.
Yes, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how the phenomenon works either.
The ratio just doesn't make a ton of sense in my brain. Because you're going to have a ton of people who are over the age of 50 and don't have kids that age, or have kids that maybe are, right on the edge or have graduated from high school. Then you have kids that are younger than that, but you have 400 high school age kids. It's phenomenal to me.
Anaconda, it has to be one of the most interesting towns in all of Montana because of the way, Anaconda at one time was one of the biggest high schools in the state. It was a AA all the way high school, and then it slowly, because of mining and less of a priority on mining and all these sort of things, decline in population, but now Anaconda is making a little bit of a comeback, and it's increasing in population. I think a lot of that's because of where it's located. I think there are people that are choosing to live in Anaconda and either work remotely and or like have businesses or do business in Missoula and Bozeman, with it being sort of like right dead center in the middle. Anaconda getting close to 10,000 people now.
Yeah, that would make it
it's a top 15, like a top 15 city right now in Montana.
I think there's only 8 or 9 that are over 10,000.
I think that's right.
I think Haver's the line. I think Haver's like 10 or 12, and that's kind of the last bastion of 10,000ers.
This is as of 2025. Billings is number 1. This is just the city population, not the metro urban area, but the city population of Billings is 121,000. Missoula is 78,000. Bozeman at 69,000. Great Falls at 61,000. Butte at 36,000. Helena at 32,000. Which that one's probably accentuated a ton when you then count in Montana City, East Helena, just Jefferson County in general. This stat can't be right, though. Kalispell, 25,000. I think there's more than 100,000 people up in the Flathead Valley at this moment. But then Havre, you're right, coming in right there about 10K, and then Anaconda next, about 9th.
And Belgrade. Belgrade's up there.
Belgrade's coming for sure. I think Miles City still probably has over 8,000, 9,000 people. So I don't know, just a fascinating demographic. But that's your news of the week. Anaconda and Jefferson both moving up to Class A. Cascade and Park City both moving up to Class B. Fairview and Plentywood scheduled to move back down to Class C. The other sort of exciting news is they always, at these MHSA meetings, Montana High School Association, they always announce the state tournament sites for all the various sports, not for this upcoming academic year. This upcoming academic year is 2026-2027, but for the following one, 2027-2028, some of these are just sort of entrenched, right? Like state cross country is just an all-class cross country meet, and it just goes back and forth between Missoula and Kalispell. State wrestling is just an all-class event, and it's always at the Billings Metra. But some of the other ones, especially the ones that are sort of really, really solidified in tournament-style sports, I'm talking about like softball and basketball, those are oftentimes exciting. So for those of you listening on 102.9 FM ESPN Radio, the Class AA boys and girls basketball tournament coming back to Missoula. So that's always fun. Missoula's done a great job of hosting state tournaments over the last handful of years now that we have actually been able to draw them. But it's always fun when you got the double A because you have a chance to have as many as 6 teams in the field. 6 out of the 16 could be from Missoula. Like last year, 5 out of the 16 teams in the field were from Missoula. So if that happens, it's always great because you can just get so many people down there at the Adams Center. So that's a good one. And some of these are still TBD, but some of the other ones that I thought would be fun, State AB baseball is also in Missoula at the Paddleheads field, so that should be a good one. Class A basketball is at the Butte Civic Center, so that's going to be a fun one. They'll have a huge crowds there. Class B is in Billings, which is also super fun because if you got this year's state championship, Lodge Grass versus Harlem, I mean, you are selling the Billings Metro out all day long. That's 8,000 people that are going to the Class B state championship boys basketball game. So we'll keep you up to date with what's going on with all that. All right, enough about that. Let's talk some football. Brooks Nuanez joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You'll hear a little bit from him each of the next 2 days. So let's talk NFL draft first and foremost. Your largest impression from the NFL draft. Samuel Kim and I talked about this on Wednesday. The least number of schools represented ever in the history of the draft in terms of total schools.
Right.
When you add it all up, 89 SEC players were drafted, 78 Big Ten players were drafted, so that means 61% of the players that were drafted were from 2 conferences. Then you throw in the 38 each from the Big 12 and the ACC, and you're talking about almost 80% of the guys drafted were from, actually more than 80% of the guys drafted were from the Power 4. Only 15 non-Power 4 school players drafted, only 4 from the FCS. What do you make of this?
I mean, that's the takeaway, is what you just said there. And it was over and over. And I heard you, I think it was yesterday on the show, maybe it was earlier in the week, you talked about how it wasn't necessarily that there was this hiatus of transfers that were transferring up to the FBS from the FCS. That's what was hurting it. And I would disagree some, man. I watched a decent amount of coverage. I probably watched about half of the draft, and over and over and over again. Not only were guys transferring, they were transferring 2 and 3 times. So maybe
I missed some then, because you're right.
Their school that they came from was Tennessee, but before that they were at Cal Poly.
Right.
And a lot of guys that were started at Central Arkansas and started at these FCS schools that traditionally have produced draft picks. I mean, do you have an all-time high for FCS draft picks in a year? It's got to be 30. Up in the 30s.
Yeah, 30. Just so I don't know about prior to 2010, but the high was 31 over the last 15 years.
And that's right. That would be the number.
And the low was actually 1. I did not remember this at all. In 2015, only 1 FCS player got drafted. I do not recall that happening whatsoever.
Interesting.
The next year was a huge wave of FCS players because you had 3 guys from Eastern Washington get drafted in the top 100 alone, with Cooper Kupp, Samson Ebukam, and Kendrick Bourne all going to that next draft, and that was a great year. But I didn't remember that 2015 year. But 4 this year was the second lowest over the last 16 years,
and probably the first time in a long time that there hasn't been multiple guys taken from the same FCS school. You hearken to the North Dakota States of the world.
Well, they had 2.
Right. Okay, there you go.
But are they FCS anymore? Right.
Right. They haven't really seemed to be FCS for a long time, but still that narrative of what you just mentioned with Eastern. I mean, that's been common in the modern draft era, with FCS being more scouted, being more on the radar. I think that there's a little bit of this notion that you can find some diamonds in the rough. And back even 5 years ago, Coulter, there was guys that were dropping down at a higher rate. Now it's kind of gone inverse, and guys are just moving up, right? Or laterally. There's not as much drop down. Like we see, still a handful at the Montana States of the world. You'll still see 3 or 4 guys from the FBS come down. But it used to be that those guys were being crazy impact players, or maybe that they weren't getting a chance, and now that they've really developed, I think that model, as I mentioned, has gone a little bit in the inverse. So overall, it was nauseating to see the same schools over and over and over. I mean, especially when I was
But it also makes sense, right?
Yeah, but especially when I'm like, I watched LSU. I don't even know who this guy is.
Right.
Like why is this guy getting drafted?
But it's as simple as that the rich just get richer, right? I don't even mean from a money perspective. It's because if you are at LSU, the vast majority of reps you take any day of the week, let alone on Saturdays, are against elite players, and you have like a 40% chance of going against NFL guys. Like in practice, you're going against NFL guys sometimes, and in games, you're almost always going against NFL guys. Like how many NFL guys? I always go back to a guy like Marcus Ware, who I thought was one of the most dominant players the FCS has seen over the last handful of years. Offensive lineman out of Billings, who was a 2-time All-American at Montana State. I think the biggest thing that hurt him, other than his height, is that what's the film show? Like who is he dominating against? Nobody, right?
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody that's NFL caliber, right? Probably the most NFL caliber guys he went against were in practice when he's going against Sebastian Valdez and Brody Grebe.
Yep, I think that's fair.
And then if you went against, Eli Mostert from North Dakota State once, and that was in the national championship game. Most of the film is against, this guy, that guy, all fine players, nowhere close to NFL defensive linemen. So I think that's the one reason why you see it's an insurance policy for these NFL teams, right? They have so much. It mitigates the risk at such a high level when you can just draft guys where you've seen them produce and play and have so much film against guys that are already NFL caliber.
I totally agree. I think that's probably the notion, the strategy that these scouts and these front offices are using. But I couldn't agree less that you got to get the guys with the chip on their shoulder.
Totally.
You have to get the guys that haven't just practiced in air conditioning their whole life. Let's get some real dogs.
That's why you don't have to draft them anymore, though, right?
Because you'll just get them.
Because of the expanded roster limits for training camp, right?
Yep.
You're drafting between 6 and 10 guys if you're an average NFL franchise. You're signing 50. You go sign the Michael Worthams of the world who has a chip on his shoulder, and you challenge the guy you drafted by signing Wortham, and you say, okay, now let's see what you got. Because I think that's the other, I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's the other undertold story. I actually expect there to be more of these guys that are drafted from these high-profile programs that flame out now.
Absolutely.
Because then they're going to get beat out by the guy who didn't get drafted who's hungry, right? Like, look at Daniel Hardy. How many guys has Daniel Hardy beat out over the last 5 years? A ton, right?
A lot.
A ton of guys. That he's been grinding it out. How many guys has Ty Okada beat out the last? I mean, look at Patrick O'Connell. Patrick O'Connell beat out everybody that didn't get on the active roster, get himself a Super Bowl ring out of the University of Montana. So I think that maybe it'll actually put a bigger chip on the shoulder of the undrafted FCS type of guy.
Yeah, I think there's something there. I think that's a fun perspective to take on it. I just think that, as the top gets heavier, it makes it a little bit more vanilla. It just felt like
it does.
It felt so much like there was no reason to watch anything besides the college football playoff because it was that then you're going to see every NFL guy you ever need to see.
Wasn't that exactly where we've gotten to with every single sport now?
No, not the NFL.
Not the NFL. Correct. That's exactly right. Not the NFL.
And basketball's going to have its ebbs and flows. I mean, the NBA.
But it used to be, and this I was always in the minority of arguing this. Because people used to always say we need this expanded college football playoff for college football. And I love the idea of a playoff because I do think that you can get better and improve throughout a season, and one loss shouldn't thwart you. But I do think it really has impacted the magnitude of regular season matchups. Like it used to be if Penn State and Ohio State were 6-0 on October 14th and they're playing at the Horseshoe or they're playing in Happy Valley, that game is literally a playoff game because the loser of that game is no longer in the national championship game picture. I don't know if that's as paramount as it used to be. I mean, we saw Ohio State 2 years ago lose twice and still win the national championship outright.
Yeah, I think that they've built parity into the playoff enough to keep some of that same essence of it. I thought that this year Indiana's last-second win at Penn State probably won them a national championship in some ways.
Right.
So those games still do matter, but they are not as impactful like mid-season. They kind of builds and ramps throughout the season. They keep getting more important as you stay undefeated or what have you. But yes, I think the NBA still has parity, Coulter. You got to think about where the Oklahoma City Thunder were 4 or 5 years ago.
It does.
I mean, and the fact that they did create a cap in the NBA, a true cap. It is a softer cap. It's not a hard cap like the NFL, but it is a cap, and it's real. And you cannot stack players the way that you once could. So there's still some things out there. That's why we love pro sports, and the college thing I think will ebb and flow and continue to evolve, and we'll see how it all shapes out.
Brooks Nuanez here on Nuanez Now 102.9 ESPN Radio. Well, tell me this. You know me, I love the NBA. I love watching the NBA playoffs. But I've grown further and further less engaged with watching mid-season NBA games, and the way the playoffs have gone, the first 3 weeks of the playoffs here has doubled down that for me. It's reemphasized.
It's a much different game.
Yeah, because the offensive numbers this year in the NBA were nuts. Like the lowest scoring team in the NBA averages 117 points per game. points are fun and baskets are great, but like now we're seeing real NBA games where it's in the 100s to 120s instead of teams scoring 140, 160 because the other team's sitting out half their guys. And, I don't know. I think the notion that nobody plays defense in the NBA is stupid, but I also think that it's becoming more real at the exact same time. And I wonder where they turn from here, because I do think that the NBA is as good as it's ever been right now in terms of the breadth of skill that exists on rosters.
Oh, there's no question.
And it is not as popular as it's ever been.
There's no question. The tanking issue is a huge issue, but they are addressing it. They came out with a plan this week. I believe it's just this Tuesday or Wednesday, they talked about or kind of leaked out some of the plans, and they're going to relegate draft picks. They're going to take away the bottom 3 teams. The worst 3 teams in the league no longer will really have a chance to get the first overall pick, which is huge, because then at least towards the end of the year, you might see tanking in the middle of the season, but at least during February and March, you're going to see teams trying to win basketball games to save that pick, and that's huge. I mean, it changes it by 5%, to get the first pick, where you might be at 15% right now. You might have an 8% chance, but still, I think it's something. So they are addressing, in some ways, how to create a little bit more consistent parity in the NBA without tanking.
All right, so when it comes to the overall storylines out of the draft, I mean, the draft analysts are saying that like the Cowboys and the Jets had good drafts. I think people are high on what the Raiders did, because I think a lot of people really like Mendoza. I just don't know how to analyze this stuff anymore, because when I'm looking at it, I mean, every draft profile, you're just like, well, that guy seems surefire. Like, the only way that guy could screw it up is if he screws it up off the field. Like
6'4", 240, runs a 4.4.
Like how many? The first round was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Every defensive guy is 6'5", 245 pounds. You just look at them, you're like, this is not the same species as the rest of us. These guys are such physical specimens. It's crazy. That's the part that's been wild to watch too, though, is like how lean and strong these guys can be now. Like, it used to be you were looking for like the 275-pound guy. Now the Will Anderson body type is like, that's what it is. 6'4", 245, 6'5", 240 with the long levers. You don't need the extra 60 pounds to be strong anymore. You could be as strong as a 300-pound guy, but then as fast as the 240-pound guy. It's crazy the freaks that are coming out right now.
You know what's allowing a lot of that to happen is that the big man is back. There's a bunch of true noses in this draft. There was a bunch of 6'2", 320-pound guys that got up on the stage and was like, yeah, big boys are playing. I love in the NFL, too, that when you're evaluating these picks and you're evaluating how a team did, you really have to have a good understanding of their scheme.
Sure.
You got to know where the guy fits in. You can't just be like, they drafted the edge guy. He's great. Well, they play a 3-4. He's not going to stand up. He's actually going to have to play like strong end. Or they drafted a corner here. It's like, well, they play man all the time. That's a great pick for them. Even though you might not think he's the best corner in the draft, he's the best man corner in the draft. So some of those scheme things are really important when you talk about fit for a draft pick. But there was guys across the board in the first round that was just like, man, that guy's going to play day one. He's going to be impactful, and he's a great fit for this team.
Yep. When it comes to the guys out of the Big Sky that got a shot, a little bit fleeting, but actually a handful of Grizz getting opportunities. A couple of them minicamp invites. Hunter Peck getting a minicamp invite with the Broncos. Kenzel Lawler getting a minicamp invite with the Chiefs. But you also have Michael Wortham signing an undrafted free agent contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Liam Brown signed an undrafted free agent contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. Are we still leaning towards that we think Wortham is the guy that has the best chance to make some waves?
Yeah, I think it's an uphill battle for our guy. I mean, he's a stud. It's all about, you get a really small window to prove yourself here.
You do.
I think that
it helps him that he got like an undrafted free agent contract.
It does.
That means he gets to go to minicamp and OTAs and training camp.
Definitely, and it also helps that he can be a returner, but you have to prove that instantly. You have to be a dynamic returner that picks up the scheme and is making plays in camp right away. And that's the case with all these guys. That's the case with everybody in the NFL. Sure. Everybody has to play special teams except the top 8 starters.
Right.
Except like your defensive lineman and maybe a star linebacker. Otherwise, everybody has to play because on a active game day, there's only 47 guys up. 47 guys you're talking 22 starters plus punter and a kicker. You're at 24 already. You got 20 backups.
Yeah.
You got to have a quarterback. You got to have 3 linemen on offense, and you're down to 17 guys for 11 special team spots. So, I mean, it really does matter, and that's going to be someone like Wortham. That's going to be his best chance if he can be a dynamic returner.
Do you think the fact that he played quarterback in junior college helps him at all?
It'll help him with install and stuff. I mean, it'll definitely. I think the quarterback has to know what everyone's doing, right? So, I think that mindset definitely helps. I'll say it won't hurt you, but his size is going to be his only issue. It's going to be capitalizing on his reps.
Yep.
You saw him stumble in the 40 at his pro day, right?
Sure.
Like little things where it's like if you do that in practice on the first day with your first rep, like it's over for you.
Right.
Like you got to be a gamer. So little things like that are going to be huge.
Like I want to know if he can get off. Like, can he get off the line, right?
Well, he's going to find out because he's going to get pressed and jammed
big
like
time,
crazy.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and everybody in the FCS is scared to jam him because like they would run that little slip screen where he would like fake it and then get
jitterbug,
and he would just get right to the soft spot. And then I mean that was one of the coolest plays that Montana ran last year, where it was like a fake hitch, fake screen. But then, like, a go into a sit down, and he would just sit. He'd burn a guy and then just sit, and they would just throw it to him, and then he would be in the middle of 3 guys, triangulation. They're all coming in at him, and it's just gone. But he's not gone when the guy said that he's playing against run 4.25.
Yeah, he's definitely not. At this level, he wasn't able to really be touched off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
In the NFL, I think he's still, that skill translates. I think that he's elite. When it comes to that, I don't think that he's outside of the top 30 in the world at playing in a phone booth. I mean, I think that he's tough to touch. I think his size or lack thereof actually helps him in some of those situations.
It does.
But it's all about the hands, man. It's all about that bigger NFL ball that's going to be coming whistling at you. Can you make plays?
Can you make plays? Certainly going to be interesting to watch. Brooks Nuanez here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. You also hear from him tomorrow as well. Right now, take a break, come back, and on the other side, we'll talk. Well, I don't know what we're going to talk, but we'll fill in the blanks. Right after this, don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
What do you expect me to say to her? She's getting married in 30 minutes.
We're doing everything we can.
John, can you hear me? John?
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers, because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test, so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on, because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
The rare moments in life, they're not just few and far between. They're meant to be treasured.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Missoula Sports Center.
Their Eastern Washington's women's basketball team is now up to 4 Montanans on the roster. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. EWU's women's basketball coach Jody Gleason has put a high priority on recruiting women's basketball players from the Treasure State, and that continued earlier this week. Elise Abey, a Laurel graduate, will transfer to Eastern Washington, giving the Eagles 4 Montanans on their roster. Abey has spent the last 3 seasons at Idaho State. She started 28 games last year for the Bengals, averaging 7 points per game. Abey joins an EWU roster that also includes all Big Sky Jr. Courtney Grossman, who hails from Billings, and Missoula Sentinel product Emily McElmurray, who was a key reserve for the Eagles last season. EWU also added Jada Davis, one of the highest scoring players in Montana high school hoops history, while leading Bozeman Gallatin to its first ever 2 state championships. Davis will be a freshman next fall at EWU. The Montana State women's basketball team currently has 5 Montanans on its roster, with the addition of Braden Gumlock, a Big Fork native who's joining MSU after spending last season at BYU. The Bobcat roster also features reigning Big Sky MVP Taylor Churuk, who grew up in Billings, and Prepton Roberts, along with Seiko product Tegan Erickson and Billings Scaview alum Brooke Berry. The Lady Grizz are adding 4 Montanans to its roster ahead of last season, including Gonzaga transfer Paige Loafing of Billings, Wake Forest transfer Kennedy Moore of Kalispell, along with Missoula Big Sky senior Avery DeCoit and Billings Central senior Cam Ranker.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Our recruiting coverage continues here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as on SkylineSportsMT.com. Check it in now on the Bobcat side of things. We spent the weekend in Bozeman checking out the Bobcat spring game. Very impressed. Montana State looked really, really good. And both Montana and Montana State fighting it out in the in-state recruiting battle right now. We're joined now by a Seiko, Montana native and a young man who plays football at Malta and the rest of the sports at Seiko. Leighton Erickson, our guest here on Nuanez Now. Leighton, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. I really appreciate you reaching out. Glad to be on here.
Of course, man. Happy to have you on. So first of all, we got to talk about the recruiting part of this thing, because I can't ever remember so many guys committed so early on here. But I think that's indicative of how good the high school class here is in Montana. The guys that are juniors right now going to be seniors. There's a lot of really good players. So take us through just your perspective on it. When did Montana State first get a hold of you? And then just take us through your recruiting this spring.
Yeah, I think Montana State first got a hold of me in January. And from there, they kept in contact with me throughout basketball season a little bit. And then I got to go on a junior day in March. And then I went back for another one. And they offered me. I only had to think about it for like a week or two, because the way everything is down there, I really like it down there. They have a great program. They have great coaches, great staff. And, yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of the other recruits see that have already committed.
It is impressive the way that they operate. I mean, it's so organized, and they do such a good job of promoting everything about Montana State in general. I mean, it's not just the football program either, right? I mean, they do a great job promoting the school and the town and all that sort of stuff. So tell me about that. What sort of things did you like maybe outside of the football? We can get to the football here in a minute, but what sort of things did you like outside of football, maybe from a school perspective or from Bozeman or any of those other factors?
Yeah, they have so many different degrees you can go into. And for people that aren't really sure what they're going to go into yet, like myself, there's always something I can choose. And then we took a tour for their educational department, and I just thought I could see myself there. So
when it comes to the football team, the fact that they started getting at you in January and then all of a sudden they win the national championship and now there's all this hype around the Cats, I mean, did that play into it? And what do you think of just sort of the opportunity to join a program that's had so much success?
Yeah, I feel really blessed that they came out and reached out to me. I've said this before. I don't think that if they would have lost national championship, it wouldn't have changed my mind, because it's been a dream to grow up and play for the Cats. And just winning that national championship made it way more easy.
Leighton Erickson joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Seiko, Montana product who plays high school football at Malta. Take us through when that became a dream. I mean, you mentioned it's been a dream since for a long time for you. So when did you first start liking the Cats and following the Cats?
Well, when I was really young, I always liked the Cats, but I really started watching them, throughout junior high. So, and then, when you have another Seiko native, Blaine, and, Tegan, they're both up there. They set the bar pretty high for me, and I knew they could make it. I just had to work hard at it, and I knew I could make it too. So,
well, that's such a cool part of the story, right? You mentioned Tegan Erickson; she was an unbelievable basketball player up there in Seiko, and North County won 3 straight Class C state championships with her as one of the central figures, and then you mentioned. Blaine Downing, I thought he was awesome in the spring game on Saturday. He was a guy I knew was a great athlete coming out of high school, but I think he's going to push for some playing time this year as a young guy because he was hard to block on Saturday. So what about Seiko? Why do you think there's so many great athletes coming out of a small town right now?
I'll go back to saying we know how to take opportunities, and we don't really have anything else to do. So when we're free, we just work on our sports.
What does your family do up there? Are you guys in agriculture, or what do you guys do?
My dad has his own hangar about 23 miles north of Seiko. So,
oh, got it. So like airplanes, you mean?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so doing some transport and stuff like that.
Yeah,
awesome.
He just works on them, rebuilds them.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Well, just growing up in a town like that, what sort of things has it taught you?
Like I said, it's taught me to take opportunities for sure. And then we got to work for everything we want. So it's definitely a work ethic thing coming from a small town. We know how to work hard.
Definitely. And you've seen that over the years always when these young people come out of these small towns in Montana. There's always a great work ethic that comes with it. Leighton Erickson joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. He is a senior to be at Seiko High School and plays his high school football at Malta. So tell me about that part. How far is Seiko from Malta? Like 45 minutes?
No, it's only about a 30-minute drive.
Okay. So not bad. So going there every day, what's that experience been like? And obviously you're going to play for a great program. Malta's had a ton of success these last couple of years. So what's the experience been like just headed into Malta when you go to football practice or games?
It gets to be pretty. You get used to the drive really quick. It doesn't seem like it takes 30 minutes because you're going there every night and coming back. Then in the weekends you're there, so it doesn't seem too long. I know I really appreciate Malta being there for us, for Seiko athletes like me and Blaine and our up-and-coming athletes. So I know Malta's been a big part of mine and Blaine's success.
How much do you think the football program has helped you too? Because you guys have won a lot of games lately. So what I guess start there. What has been the key to success? Why has Malta been such a winning program these last couple of years?
It's our coaches are really good. Oxart, DeVries, all of our assistant coaches, and we push each other at practice and we get after it. So I feel like that's one of the main things.
Have you kept in touch with Blaine a little bit since he's come down to Bozeman?
Yeah, we talk a little bit every now and again. So,
what sort of stuff has he shared with you, just about the way that the program works, and what sort of stuff has he liked and enjoyed about it?
He really likes it up there. I know. Obviously, he's growing as an athlete since he's been in Seiko, and he's been having a good time his freshman year. He hasn't said anything negative about it. So,
well, definitely a cool chance for you guys to sort of reunite. But I know you have a whole another year of high school ahead of you. So tell me about that part. First of all, how's track and field going for you so far?
Slow, some injuries, just taking it easy. But when I do get to participate, I feel like it's going pretty good so far. So,
well, not surprising that you're a shot put guy, as a guy that's going to be tight end type of guy at the college level. Tell me how you got into pole vault, though. It doesn't seem like the 6'3" guys are much are that common of pole vaulters. But how'd you get into that? What do you like about that event?
Yeah, it probably goes back to when I was 7th, 8th grade watching Blaine pole vault.
Nice.
Kind of sparked my interest in it. I know I don't have really the right build for it. You're usually supposed to be around 5'10", like 170, but
it's a good challenge for you, though, right? I mean, good thing to. I mean, it takes so much athleticism too, so I'm sure it actually helps you from a sports perspective.
yeah, for sure. A lot of people think that pole vault is one of the more challenging things to do in track.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what's next then for you after track? Will you do some camps and stuff this summer? What's on the docket for you this summer?
Yeah, I've been invited to go out to some cat Bozeman camps, so I'll head down to those this summer. Just work and lift, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, what are some of your goals headed into your senior year?
Mostly sports goals. I want to get up to like 225 for sure and weight. Want to get a lot faster, so that'll just that's just persistence in the weight room.
How's Malta looking next year? Do you obviously have you coming back? Is there some other key returners coming back for Malta football next year?
Yeah, Keenan Labrie, another D end.
Oh yeah, he's good for sure.
He's definitely one of our best players, so he's going to be a huge help. Then we get our quarterback back,
right?
And then our other outside backer, Samuel Simonson, he was a pretty big part of our success too.
That's awesome. Well, Malta should be a contender once again at the in the Class B ranks. For you personally, just sort of having your college decision made up, does that help you? I mean, does that help like alleviate some stress, or does it help you sort of settle in and just focus on your senior year?
Yeah, it definitely took some pressure off of me when I committed. I was always worried about it. Even just during this year before I committed, I was worried about it. But yeah, it definitely took some pressure off. And I'm just going to work hard in my last year of high school. And it's nice knowing where I'm going to go afterwards.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, when you first made the call and you called, probably Coach Vegan, or I'm not sure which assistant you committed to, but when you did that and you told him, hey, I'm coming, I want to be a Bobcat. What was that moment like for you?
It was pretty exciting. I was ready. I know that. I thought about it, and I texted. Yeah, I called. Vegan called me after I texted him.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was special. And my mom was there, and yeah.
Oh, so your mom got to hear you do it? That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty excited. I know I got a lot of support from everybody around here so far. So
totally. Well, when it comes to Coach Vegan, what are some of your thoughts on him? I mean, that must be pretty exciting for you to go get to learn from a guy like that that's such a well-regarded coach.
Yeah, I know he's been nothing but good to his players. He's built a great program over the years, and I'm really excited to play under him. I know that.
Leighton Erickson joining us here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, as well as the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. Anything else that has you super excited about this next chapter, or is it just sort of focus on the here and now, and then when that rolls around, you can turn your focus to that?
Yeah, I'm focused on my senior football season right now. So once that's over, then I'll probably be thinking a lot more about MSU. Yeah, it's there, it's always there, but I just I want a really good senior football season. So,
well, definitely very cool. I can't believe I didn't ask you this earlier, but is Tegan? Are you related to Tegan? Is that your sister?
It's my cousin.
Your cousin? Okay. I was wondering because I know that there's a couple families. So, I mean, how much has she shared with you about her experience at Montana State so far?
She shared a lot with me. She's always saying how much she loves it there, and with her and Blaine there, it obviously kind of influences me. I want to be around people I know in college, so. It's really nice having those two there.
Yeah, definitely cool. I saw her parents in Boise at the Big Sky tournament. Had a good talk with them. So I was just wondering if you guys were related. So good stuff, man. Well, we appreciate the time. Best of luck with the rest of this track season, first and foremost, but also with your summer and into next fall. And we'll certainly be in touch and following along with everything that's going on with Malta and Seika. But we appreciate you for sharing some of your story here today.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to. Thank you for reaching out for me.
whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Well, hopefully you're going your own way on this Thursday. We're wrapping up an edition of Nuanez Now here at the Missoula Broadcasting Company. I'm Jeff Safford here, wrapping up this edition. Had a great show so far here this afternoon. Just wrapped up a recruiting segment for the Montana State Bobcats. Shout out Saco, Montana. Hey, I know about Saco, having previously lived up there on the High Line in Havre, just a few hours east there on Highway 2. Man, I was talking about this off mic with Hayden Smith. I don't know what is in the water up there, but they have fantastic steaks. Fillets, sirloin, whatever cut you want. Also smoked sausage at this little grocery market right downtown Saco. Oh, yeah. So if you want to send some smoked sausage to the Missoula Broadcasting Company, if you're listening in from Saco, go for it. No pressure. A lot of fun to be had also, all football all the time with Brooks Nuanez. Talking some NHL hockey, myself and Hayden Smith. If you miss anything in today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast. Right after the show, Hayden Smith will get it all loaded up for you. Nuanez Now podcast. However you want to check it out, it's available for you. Plenty of action going on in the sports world. Thinking playoffs, whether it be hoops or Stanley Cup. Some action on the hardwood in the second quarter. New York Knicks, whoa, just blowing out the Atlanta Hawks right now. It is 50-16 in the second quarter, 5-0-16. I guess Regime Seabrook is probably pretty excited right now. Looks like the Knicks are headed towards the second round in a 6-game win if they're able to hold on to that one. We'll see the Boston Celtics and 76ers later. That will be starting off right at the end of the show at 6 o'clock. And then the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves later at 7:30. Spent plenty of time talking Stanley Cup hockey earlier on in the show, as I mentioned. Edmonton and Anaheim coming up later tonight at 8 o'clock. But the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild are in action right now in the first period. And Hayden Smith was able to see it from behind the glass. That looks like the homestanding Wild are off to a good start there in their home barn in St. Paul.
Yeah, man, they're looking great right now. It's to be expected. We knew they'd come out hot, especially knowing they haven't won a series in a long time and a lot of history with that team. But yeah, the team is flying right now, and I expect to see that continue.
And it looks like, Hayden, that the Wild have taken the lead here in the first period, 1-0. How did they get that first goal?
Jeff, I was trying to produce a show, so I missed it. But I will, when I get an answer here, I will let you know shortly.
But there you go. It looks like 11:28 to go, first period. The Minnesota Wild over the Dallas Stars, 1-0. And we've got the Edmonton Oilers and Anaheim Ducks coming an 8 o'clock start time there in Southern California. Baseball also, the Giants and Phillies tied at 4 in Major League Baseball. But Hayden, this should be a lot of fun thinking about what we'll see later tonight. Looking at the GameCast from the game over in St. Paul, Quinn Hughes was actually able to tally his first goal of this series for the Stars, and they've been off to a hot start. They've been able to win over 70% of the faceoffs in the early going. They have more shots on net to the Stars, 5-1. Also have been out hitting the Stars with 5 hits halfway through that first period. And when you're a team looking to close out a series on home ice, that's exactly what you want to see. Start to jump ahead 1-0 and just see a lot of energy. And I really could see it from the first shift, was able to catch that before coming onto the mic with you guys, seeing the first shift from the first line from the Wild, that they really just came out firing from the start. Hayden, didn't you see the same thing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the top line for Dallas spent the first entire shift playing defense. So from the Minnesota perspective, you love to see it. You also love to see, now Quinn Hughes did have the goal, but you see Marcus Foligno and Nico Sturm, two of the depth guys, making some contributions early in that game. So about what I expected. You can't have the big dog stepping up every moment of every game, and it's nice to have some depth contributions early in this one.
So halfway through the first, it is the Minnesota Wild leading the Dallas Stars 1-0. We'll see the Oilers and Ducks later at 8 o'clock. Also some postseason basketball rocking and rolling. The next 55-19, just about halfway through the second quarter. Man, that is just an annihilation there in the ATL. This has been a fun edition of Nuanez Now. We got another great show coming up for you on your Friday. Carolyn, the chick that doesn't know sports, will be around with Coulter Nuanez. We'll hear from Grizz Lacrosse, Tucker Sargent, head coach of the Grizz, along with Mason Slapper, a long stick midfielder, a 4-time all-conference selection. We'll hear from Gridless Slacks ahead of their national tournament appearance and more. This has been Nuanez Now.